Hello there. My name is Beth Gaff, and I am the technology trainer, robotics instructor, and systems administrator here at the Peabody Public Library. And I want to welcome you to another session of one of our streamed classes here at the library. And today's session is going to be all about resume building. A lot of us right now, due to 2020 in general, may not be working, may be out there in the job field, may be looking for something. And this is a really good class to get you prepared and ready for the work field using and creating resumes. So everything we're going to do today is going to involve resume building and getting yourself ready for that job. So let's go ahead and get started. I can't wait. I'm really excited. Also keep in mind at the end of the class, we are going to be doing some live, well, not necessarily live, but we are going to be working on actually creating a resume together. I just want you to keep in mind that there are several different websites out there. I just chose on the first one that popped up. But you may want to float around and see which one's going to work better for you. And when you use those Microsoft Office templates or perhaps the A to Z databases templates, basically you're just taking out that information and putting your information in. So just wanted to clarify a little bit on that. And let's go ahead and get started. I can't wait. All right. Well, we are going to get started first off before we actually get into working on and creating our own resume. There are some things that we need to do to get ourselves prepared for that. So, what is a resume and why do we need one when you are job searching? So, a resume is a written uh, compilation of your education, your work experience, your credentials, and your accomplishments. Most professional positions require applicants to submit a resume and a cover letter as part of the application process. I am not really sure if they really require you nowadays to have a cover letter, but it can't hurt to look into those and see if they're going to work for you. In many cases, your resume is the first document a hiring manager will look at when reviewing your application and therefore is a true first impression. Accordingly, it's important to put time and effort into developing and maintaining an updated and accurate resume. So just keep that in mind as you're going. So you want to think of a resume as a self-advertisement. So that sums up your, the self-advertisement is going to sum up your experience and everything on 1 to 2 pages. You really don't want it any longer than 2 pages. Your resume is one of the most important pieces of your job application. It gives the hiring manager an overview of the qualifications you have for the job for which you're applying. So it lets them know exactly what kind of expertise you may have in what they're looking for. You should also familiarize yourself with the difference between a resume and a cover letter. A resume is typically sent with a cover letter, which is a document that provides additional information on your skills and experience in the letter form. A resume is a concise, often bulleted summary, while a cover letter highlights, expands on certain traits or accomplishments that would be unique or ideal assets for your particular job. So, the first thing you're going to want to do before you even get started on a resume is you're going to want to start, no matter what your approach is, your goal will be to produce some type of a resume or a chronological list of experiences that is relevant to the jobs you are applying for. Although this should focus on professional work experience, you can also include awards, scholars, volunteer, or community type experience as well. So, one thing that you want to make sure of when you're done with your resume is that you want to make sure that you are doing a very good proofreading. So, these next few slides are going to be about proofreading your checklist. This is a checklist of proofreads for your resume. So, spelling mistakes, that's going to be very vital. You don't want to use any words which you don't know the meanings to. Okay, a thesaurus is a really good resource because then you can change some of your words around so they're not so simple and they're a little bit more complex, or you can take complex words and make them simpler. Use a dictionary when you write. Perform a spell check on your document. Carefully read every word in your resume. Um, if you write from instead of form, your spell check may not actually detect that as a mistake word. So you also want to make sure that you're proofreading everything. And you even maybe have a friend or two proofread it as well as yourself so you can get a good understanding of what you need to fix and where the errors are. Also, keep in mind that, there, and there, and where, and where, they're probably not going to notice those as misspelled words or not you being used correctly because they are spelled correct. So you want to make sure that you're using the correct tense of those. So let's move on to the next thing. So part of your proofreading checklist is going to be to make sure that there's no punctuation mistakes. So you want to check for periods at the end of all your sentences. You want to make sure that they're actual sentences. If you're an older job applicant who learned to type on a typewriter, you want to make sure that it is only single space, not two spaces between the period ending a sentence and the new sentence. So you just got to watch the way that you're laying it out. Be consistent in the use of your punctuation. So if you're going to capitalize one word in one area, you want to make sure you're capitalizing it through the entire area or the entire document. Always put periods and commas within quotations. Avoid using exclamation points as this reverts and makes it look like it's something being shouted about. Try to avoid using comma splices where two complete sentences are connected with a comma. So if you can read it out and they could read as a sentence by themselves, then they probably don't need a comma. So this is where your proofreading is going to come into play. Let's see what else is on our checklist. So, in my house, I live with the grammar police. I'm not going to lie. My daughter tells me all the time, hey, mom, commas save lives. Grammar is not a very good expertise of mine, but it needs to be of yours if you're going to get your resume out there and have it being looking nice. So, do not switch your tenses within the sections of your resume. Be sure that they are consistent for each job you list. The duties you perform in your current job should be in the present tense. I write reports. I go here and I go there in the present form, not past. But the ones that you may have performed at all previous jobs should be presented in the past tense, like I wrote reports. So if you're at a current job, this is what I do. I'm currently working with the public. I teach them computers. I write reports. I do this. If I am no longer with that company and I'm going to a new company, it is I taught computer classes. I wrote reports. So you want to make sure that you're just working on your wording. Capitalize all proper nouns, and we know that those are people and places primarily, and there's other words out there as well. And I learned something new today as far as grammar goes. Evidently, our new grammar style of books are telling people that you can separate words with commas even before the word and. So I was taught that you don't put a comma after the word when and follows it, but evidently that is part of a new grammar thing. So researching grammar is probably a good idea at this point. It sounds like they're changing things around. When expressing numbers, you want to write out your numbers between 1 and 9, but use numerals for any numbers 10 or above. So I think that's a space thing. 1 through 5 don't take up a lot of space, whereas obviously 10 doesn't, but 15, 16, things like 25, 108, that's a lot of words. Whereas 1, 2, 3 isn't as long. So if you begin a sentence with a numeral, spell out the numeral. 11, service, awards 1 while employed. So make sure that if you're ending a sentence and you're beginning a new one and it starts with a number, that you're fixing that. Make sure your date formats are consistent. So you don't want to go in there with an 11-22-20 when it's 11 hyphen, or not hyphen, but slash 22/20 throughout the whole thing. So you just want to make sure everything that you're doing is grammatically consistent and your items are spelled correctly And so make sure that you're using your spell check as best as possible, even though Word and Google and those different types of formats don't always catch everything, or they may catch things that aren't really incorrect. So you definitely want to use that with a grain of salt too. So let's continue with our checklist. Okay, so part of our checklist is making sure that you're checking for word usage. A lot of times, you want to be on the lookout for some of these particular easily confused words. So, accept, ACCEPT, is to actually receive something. I accepted that from you. Whereas accept is to exclude. Everybody went to the party except me. So those are the two variances. All right, which would mean that's correct. Everything in that um, particular equation is all right because it's all correct. Or all right. This is not actually a word. So, all right, now, see you later. So apparently all right is not a word. So you want to possibly use your thesaurus and find another word to substitute that. Affect. This is a verb to bring about change. So I'm affected by what's going on. Effect is a noun as a result. As a result of that, it affected me in this way. So you definitely want to use your dictionary, your thesauruses, and things. Personal, that would be something private to me. This is a personal situation. Personnel would be a staff member. So people that you work with are personnel, whereas your diary is personnel. Role in a role. So a role is a character assigned or a function. So he made the head role of the play. So role would be a character. Whereas roll is to revolve. So roll would be like a ball rolling on the ground, right? And using action words. Increased revenues, directed staff, wrote reports. Use action words, which are verbs, in describing what you're trying to do. And don't, of course, forget about our there, and there, and our where, and where, and things along those lines. And I learned today whale, whale, and whale, WAIL, WHALE, and WALE. So there are 3 different kinds of whales too. English language is one of the hardest languages to learn, and it's just because we have so many words that are pronounced the same but mean something different. So you got to make sure that you're spelling them correctly so that you're getting the correct meaning out of those words. All right, let's move on to our next checklist. All right, so now I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about the different kinds of resume designs and how you should have them flow. So there are 3 different kinds of actual resume type designs that you can choose from. The first one is going to be chronological. This is the most common resume type in which you list your work experience in reverse chronological order from the most to the least recent, or it's just kind of listed out like a timeline. And then you have your functional. A functional resume focuses more on your skills and abilities rather than your work history, what you can do for the company versus what you have done for companies in the past. And then you have a combination where you can have them both. They also have one called very plain and basic, but the combination, this is a type of resume that lists your skills, experience before your employment history. So there's also a plain one, which is part of that combination. So these are the more common: chronological, functional, combination, and plain. You don't want to overcrowd your resume. Allow for plenty of white space. Keep the number of fonts you use to a minimum, 2 at most. So maybe each header would have its own font, whereas the rest of it would have anything under the header or the title of your section would have a different font. You could even just use the same font and italicize your headers or your titles, bold them, and that changes them up enough. Use a conservative font that is easy to read, like Times New Roman, Verdana. Do not justify the lines of type on your resume. Allow the right side of the page um, to just kind of be there. So you want to get started. You don't want to use script. You don't want to use cursive. You don't want to use comic. You want to use something professional and easily legible. Do not overuse capitalization, italics, underlines, or other emphasizing features. I would only use those in your titles or your headers. You really aren't going to need any of that for any of the other stuff. Make sure your name, address, phone number, and email address appear on your resume and all correspondence, preferably at the top of the page. So you want to make sure that it's at the top of the page. I know for my particular resume, I actually have my picture on it, but it has different sections, and I've got them all highlighted. And I may even include a copy of my resume on here for you to see. Let's see. For a paper resume, you're going to print your resume on white or cream paper using good quality printer. Print on one side of the paper only. Do not make it double-sided. So this tells you about the different kinds of designs and what not to do and what to do on the resumes itself. Okay, so this is going to be the last slide that I've got as far as being able to resume proofread and checklist. And these are going to be items that you want to omit, which means you want to take out of your resume in any kind of form that there is. So you want to omit your salary history. You want to you don't need to add that. Nobody needs to know how much you've been making. You can take out your sex, race, age, marital status, or any other similar personal information, unless you're writing something that requires that information. But for a basic resume, they really don't need to know how old you are, what your ethnicity is, or anything like that. The smallest typo on your resume, cover letter, or other application materials can prevent you from getting a job interview, since employers may conclude that your lack of attention to detail and or content to present sloppy work. So proofread, proofread, proofread. Have your friends proofread. Look it over. Make sure you're doing what you need to be doing and getting it out there and it looks good. So these additional proofreading tips will help you make sure that your documents are perfect. So remember, before you send or upload a resume to apply for a job, it's important to proofread. It's so important to make it as perfect as possible. Your resume and its accompanying cover letter both represent the professionalism that you would bring to the position you're applying for. So therefore, even simple mistakes like a typo or a grammatical error could cost you a job in an interview. So there are a few effective strategies you can use while proofreading. Your first step should be to read your resume slowly from the beginning to check for spelling and grammatical errors. Then run a spell check on your computer and repeat this step. Now, note that a spell check is not always 100% accurate and won't identify words like homonyms, which are spelled correctly but misused in your text, such as there, and there, whale, and whale, where, and where, things like that. So finally, to wrap all this up, read this resume backward, sentence by sentence. So you want to read it back to yourself, sentence by sentence. This is a very useful proofreading technique since it forces you to slow down and pay close attention to each phrase and sentence. So what it's saying is you want to read the resume backward, sentence by sentence. So you want to start at the end and read each of those sentences backwards. So it's not going to make sense to you, but you might be able to pick up on some of those grammatical, spelling, punctuation type errors as a result of that. All right, so we are now going to get into creating a resume using internet resources, Microsoft Office resources, as well as an online resource that we offer here at the library. Let's get started. Okay, so now we're going to get started on building our own resume and some different kinds of templates. First off, I'm just on Google to get us started. However, I'm going to go over to Microsoft Office and go into Word. And then we're going to check out Publisher. Now in Word, we can go to File. We can go to New. And in new, we can see what kind of templates they may have available for this. This is available templates. And we're going to go to resume and cover letters. Go ahead and get those all loaded up. Hopefully you can see this well enough. And they have tons of different types of templates that you could choose from. Here's a nice functional cover letter. That would include you just plopping in what it is exactly you want it to say, going back to new and resumes and cover letters. Here's that chronological resume they were talking about, to where you could put things in order. So that's a really good one to use. Here's a functional resume that they were talking about and it's just everything laid out for you. So you just put your information in on all of this. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's see. Chronological, functional, they have lots of them. Transferring companies, photo type resumes, black tie type resumes, chronological, functional, cover letter. I mean, there's just tons of different templates that you can actually use. I really, really liked that one we were just on, though, with the entering. Here's a different type of chronological. That one's quite large, but you would just fill in these blanks. So that's very, very beneficial for sure. Let's see. Now we can actually go to, let me close out of all these. We can go to Google and take a look and see what kind of, let's see, resume templates. We can see what kind of templates are out there. I'm just going to go to images for now so we can kind of get an idea. Let's see. There's lots of different kinds. So we can view this image just to kind of see if it's, well, that image isn't very big. Actually, let's just go back to the normal search of all and build a resume in 15 minutes. Sounds good to me. So we click on that. I'm just doing the Resume Genius. I just pushed one of the very first things on Google. Build a resume now. So going through this, I can actually select what kind of template I'm going to want to have. Let's see what other kinds they have here. These are all different. So let's go with this. I'm going to select this template. And now you start to build. So I'm going to enter in my first name. I am in Columbia City. Oops, it already knew that by me putting in actually, yeah, it's fine. We'll just put this in instead. And in my email. Fingers are going a little bit faster than me today. All right, here we go. Register for a free account, so we can go ahead and create an account with them. That way we would be able to access, save, and activate. So now I'm going to enter in my employment history. I am currently working at the Peabody Public Library. I am in, oh no, there we go. I don't know what happened. All right, let's try that again. And I'm in computers. Oh, here we go. So if I click on that, then I get a little thing that comes up. I was looking for computers, but I think education will work. So I'm just filling in all of my fields. My position title, I am the technology trainer. I have worked here for a zillion years, and I still work here. Enter a job keyword. And then so I can put in a trainer. Let's see what we get. Athletic computer support specialist, training and development. I will use that one. There we go. Oversees daily performance of computer system, answers user inquiries. Yep, I do that. Enter commands and observe system functions, set up equipment. I do that. Minor repairs. Maintain records of daily communication. So you would just go through here and click on the items that pertain to what you're doing. So I think that's probably good. My responsibilities, I teach the public how to use devices, and I teach computer classes. All right. Review your responsibilities. So you could come in here. All right, so these look like some reviews and responsibilities. So if I went into edit, I could actually start to come in here and type in different kinds of responsibilities that I have with that job. Working with the public is a very big one. But I could continue to do that as far as I needed and save and continue. Now it's going to kind of give me a, this is what you have. Now I can go ahead and add a new position within this company, which I've had several. I've been here for 12 years, so I have had several. But I'm just going to move on. And with our education, then you could type in where you graduated from high school. And I'm from the great city of Indianapolis. So I am not still in high school. I graduated, yes. I graduated in May of 93. Don't judge me. I know you are. All right, so I'm going to see a preview of that. And it's showing me that's how it's going to look on my resume. Now I can go in and I can add a college and get all that added as well. Any information that I want to say about my school and things along those lines. So I can save and continue. Save and continue. So then this would just be additional skills. And if I don't have any, then I'll just save and continue. So this is what, as of right now, my resume would actually look like. However, you could come in here and pick something else as well to get your, and it has them all listed out. So that's just one kind that you can go on. Let's get out of this, and I'm going to take you into, oops. I'm going to take you in and let you kind of look at another one. I think on A to Z databases, when we went through that, I'm not sure. I don't think I went through the resume process. So let's go to A to Z databases. You can find that on our website at www.ppl.lib.in.us. And there it is there. I am going to go to all online resources under my research tab. And over here on the right hand side, I can go to A to Z databases, and now it's going to shoot me out to A to Z databases. And now under find a job, I can do cover letters, resumes, and tips. And while I'm in here, you can do the homework. So know your strengths and weaknesses, 4 keys to knowing. So if I click on that, it's going to shoot me out to 4 keys to knowing my strengths and weaknesses. What is your personality? Take action. It has a lot of awesome things that you can do on there. 3 is the magic number, how to summarize your skill set. So it's going to help you kind of guide you through that as well. And the right company, is it for you? So these are some other links for that. Now, when you go to actually apply for the job, They have the 2 key words employers look for on a resume, and they have a nice little cartoon down here. But here is some of the key words that they may be looking for: management skills, communication skills, and creativity skills. But you can kind of read a little bit more on that. So if I go back, I can go to resume and cover letters. There's different types of templates I can use on here. So let's just go with style A. Actually, let's look at the example of style A as soon as it comes up, which assuming that it will. There we go. Here's style A, so you can kind of see if that's going to work for you. If it does not, then you can move on to the different styles. This is a functional. Actually, this is a chronological, this is a functional, and here's your plain arrangement. So you could go in and just kind of look at those, and these are the templates for you to be able to fill in the information yourself. Looks like it opens it up in Microsoft Word. So we'll kind of give that a minute to load for us here. Maybe it's thinking about it. But you can also get those cover letters down here as well. They have templates and examples of the cover letters as well as the resumes. Oh, here we go. So here's one of those templates that you'd be able to fill in through A to Z databases. And then you would just save it as a Word document. And then, of course, our reference sheet, and you can actually print this. Okay. There's also 3 keys to using A to Z databases to connect with hiring managers. So it tells you about all of that. And acing the interview. So once you've actually got that application in there, you've gotten your resume sent out, now it's time to get ready for the interview process. So it kind of goes through the 4 tough questions that employers are asking. And all of this stuff is printable through our website. So you'd be able to print this. Tell me about yourself. Why did you leave your previous job? What is your range of salary? And where do you see yourself in 5 years? So those are the 4 questions. Excuse me. 10 questions every employee should ask their employer. So it's not just you that should be getting all the questions. I'm sure you probably have questions for the employer as well. There's a video how to interview. And it looks like it's only about 3 minutes. So let's take this 3 minutes. Oops. And watch this.
Boy, it's just about time for my 2 o'clock interview to come.
Hi, are you Mark?
I am.
Hi, Mark. I'm Tisha.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice
Have a
to
seat.
meet you too. Thank you. Here's a copy of my resume for you.
Oh, thank you. That's great. I'm glad you brought a copy along. It always helps when a candidates bring their resume because, you know, sometimes I don't get the chance to print that off in advance of the meeting. So thank you for doing that. What do you know about our company?
Well, I know that Database USA is a database company, and what it does is help other companies market their businesses and bring in more consumers for themselves.
Right. That's a great summary of what we do here. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes. I have a master's degree, and I've been in the business world for a while. My recent position was at a bank where I was a trainer, so I worked in the corporate training office.
Why did you leave your last job?
You know, I was just looking for something, a smaller based company, a little more family oriented, something that would, maybe a company I could grow more quickly in. Instead of being a fish in a large sea of fishes, I wanted to be someone who could stand out.
So a little more opportunity you're looking for, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself in like 2 to 5 years?
2 to 5 years, I just want to be in a position where I can fully know the background and basis of the company and be a subject matter expert for the company and kind of see where my opportunities lead me there.
Right. You know, a lot of people don't realize that it takes 2 to 5 years to really learn a business and the company well. So what are your pet peeves?
You know, I don't really have pet peeves. I guess if I was going to choose one, it would be I prefer when people have something they'd like to discuss with me. They come discuss it with me so we could close the matter of whatever's bothering someone at that time and move on.
Right. So maybe better than hidden agendas or that kind of thing. Yeah. And what would be your ideal job?
My ideal job is really a lot of different things. I want to be able to take my knowledge that I've learned in 2 to 5 years and help others learn that. So whether it be in a management job or a training position again or something like that.
Okay, sure. And can I ask, what are you looking for in compensation?
I'm really negotiable in my compensation. You know, I currently do make a certain amount. I would like to reach that certain amount. However, I'm negotiable depending on, you know, I want to meet those opportunities where I want to be in the future.
Right, okay. And, well, do you have any questions for me?
I do. What is your ideal candidate?
Well, you know, we're looking for people with flexibility, people who have some amount of background experience and knowledge that we can put into the various roles that we have in the company. Because we're a smaller company, we want people that are able to do different jobs as the need arises. So that's one of our key criteria when we look for candidates.
Okay, great, great. And do you know when you'd like to see this position filled, or?
Well, we're interviewing a number of candidates right now. I would expect that within the next 2 weeks or so that we'd be able to nail it down pretty well. And yeah, so you should be hearing back from us in like a 1 to 2 week time frame.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your time today, Mark, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. She seemed to be a pretty good candidate. We'll leave her on the list for good consideration.
All right, that was a pretty good interview. Let's see what the other video has for us, how not to interview. That was how to interview. This is how not to interview.
Boy, I wonder where she is. Huh, nothing like showing up on time.
Okay, yeah. Yep, I'll be there. Okay, I gotta go. Okay, bye.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good.
Here, have a seat. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
What do you know about our company?
Not much, really. I just figured you would tell me more about it today.
Yeah, well, you know, we are a database company and we're looking for good people, and we've got a lot of different positions that we're looking to fill. But can you tell me about yourself?
Sure. I'm pretty easygoing. I like to get along with others. I have lots of friends. I went river rafting. I'm adventurous. We had a great time this weekend.
Okay. Yeah. Why did you leave your last job?
I left my last job because I just hated my manager. He was terrible, and if I didn't go, I was going to end up killing him. It was just horrible.
Right. Where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years?
I'm in a management position for sure because managers, they just sit around and don't do a whole lot, and they just tell everybody else what to do, and I would kind of like to see myself in that position.
Okay. Right. And yeah. What are your pet peeves?
People kind of, they bug me, but my pet peeves are other people asking me to do their job or their work.
Yeah, right.
I don't like to help others. I just like to do my own job. That's why that's why I go to work, do my own job.
Your own job, okay. So then what would be your ideal job?
My ideal job is where I come in, I do my job, I tell everybody else what to do, and I sit in my office and just make sure everybody else is working.
Okay. Right, yeah. And how about compensation? What are you looking for in compensation?
Well, you know, I've been interviewing in a lot of places, and I'm just really looking to see who's going to give me the most money for the experience that I have.
Well, yeah, all right. Do you have any questions for me?
What does this job pay? What kind of money do you pay?
Well, you know, it really depends upon the exact position that we put you in, as well as your experience, those kind of things. So it's really a number of factors.
When will I hear from you?
Well, we like to get back to people generally maybe a 1 to 2 weeks time frame is what it would take.
Okay, well, I'll call you. I'll call you too.
Yeah, or we can be in touch with you. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Well, there is a candidate we can wipe off the list.
And if you notice, she was chewing gum the entire time as well, so that's a no-no. Don't want to go into a job interview chewing gum, that's for sure. But anyway, then you've got some interview thank you templates and 3 post interviews. But A to Z Databases is a great resource for cover letters, resumes, and tips, and you can find that under Find a Job, Covers, Cover Letters, Resume, and Tips. Right there is your link. So I hope this was helpful and beneficial on building a resume. We were able to go through some, show you some different templates, how you can find them, and even get some great advice on how we should be interviewing and not interviewing. So hopefully you get that job. All right, so this is a copy of what my resume looks like and how I have split up my resume. I have my resume split up into education, work experience, classes that I've taught, computer and personal skills, as well as a brief summary explaining what I've done, what I'm looking for, and how I can be a part of that with you, with their company. So this is how you could make yours look as well. And I just use Microsoft Word templates for this and I change the colors. So you could get really, really creative with this. And I even have my picture on there. So there you go. Take a look at this. Use my examples. Yours does not have to be this glamorous. It doesn't have to be 2 pages, but you don't want it any more than 2 pages. And at the end of your resume, I never give references. I always tell them they're furnished upon request. So if they want them, then I can give them those references at the time of the interview process. So all right, guys. Well, I really, really am pulling for you. I'm wishing you some luck out there. It's not going to be hard for you. You should be able to find something. We are living in a world right now, though, that jobs are a little bit scarce, but they're not impossible to find. Make sure you're using some of your job searching skills. There's another class about that that I offer as well. But today we just talked about resume writing and how we can perfect it and make it work for us. So thanks so much for being a part of this. And if you need any more help, please give me a call. I am here for you and I'm pulling for you. And be safe out there. And good luck, you guys. See you later. Bye.